Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. If you are collecting specific notes, if you are looking for a very specific note, you're probably going to have options when you are looking, especially on eBay. What I'm going to say is just a gentle reminder to pay attention to the serial numbers, because sometimes people don't, like me. I recently upgraded a note, and the note that I had was almost a fancy serial number. And I did not buy it because it was almost a fancy serial number. In fact, I probably bought the note and then realized it was a fancy or almost a fancy serial number later on. And then I went to upgrade it. And once again, ran into the same problem, only better. So be aware that there are actual fancy serial numbers. And on older notes, sometimes they are easier to find because there are less digits. So you have a much better chance of finding these fancy serial numbers. Now, granted, they aren't going to be worth as much over face value or as much over book value as modern notes, but any little thing that you can add to a notes holder will increase the value. So keep that in mind. Don't just look at the note. Be sure to read the serial number, because sometimes sellers don't. They just look at the note that they have and they think this note will sell itself, and they don't even pay attention to that kind of thing. So it could be huge values for you. All right, let's slide these out of the way and take a look at what I found this week. I've got a Where's George. Track me at where'sgeorge.com. I don't quite recognize, I recognize that type of stamp, but not that color. So I do have a chance of it being able to log this one. Let's see this. If I look right here, this is not an error, but you can see how there is damage to this note, and it does fold over like that. And if I wanted to, I could pull that right off. And if I really wanted to, I could soak this entire note in water and I'd be able to separate this note completely in half based on pulling this little bit here and working my way around. That's damage. That's not an error. You will see people calling this a lamination error. It is not. There's no such thing. You cannot, you can separate any bill that you want to tear in half if there's enough damage to it. That does not make it worth more money. So don't fall for that. Got some trinaries. Of course I've got trinaries. Why? Because every week I find trinaries, because trinaries are not rare. That's why I show them every week. Every week you know I'm going to find a number of trinaries. Here's 3s, 7s, and 9s. This is still not worth anything. 7, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6, 1, 6. No, it's a trinary. It's almost, if that 7 was a 1, that would be what would that be? That would be a repeater, a super repeater, to be honest, and that would be worth money. But it's not. If that was a 1, this would be worth money. Since it's not a 1, it's not worth money. If you are the kind of person who would buy this, why? Why not just pay $10 more and buy the actual super repeater? Don't spend money on a note that's almost what you want. Another trinary, 0s, 4s, and 7s. Here's 3s, 4s, and 7s. Quads, this is quad 1s, and it's actually got 2 more, so 6 of a kind, still not worth anything. Quad 8s on this one, and some stars. 2017 A star note. Always check your stars, looking for filled stars. Here's a 2017 star, 2013 star, another 2013, and another, that one's pretty nice actually. What do we got here? 2003 older note, actually in pretty good condition. 2003 A rough shape. 2003, probably going to go away. Another 2003, 2001 rough shape on this one. Another one in rough shape. 1999 tore in half, definitely going back. 1999 with a bank teller stamp, that's going away. 1995, just checking to see. No, it is not the right plate number. Another 95. Let's check this plate number. Nope. 1988A. And check it out. Found an actual fancy serial number. This is a radar, 476-88674. If we start on the back and the front, you can see the 4. As we move in, you have the 7, then the 6, then the 8. These sell for $10, $20, $40, depending on condition. This one's in rough shape, so probably not much on this. But that is an actual fancy serial number. This is your starting point for fancy serial numbers. If you're looking for, these are 1 in 10,000. So if you're looking for stuff that is more common than that, it's worthless. Just find it yourself. Don't buy it. If you're going to buy fancy serial numbers, make sure you are buying something that's actually fancy and actually rare. All right, so what do I have this week? Well, this is the note that I owned, and you can see this is an 1862 $2 legal tender. The first $2 bill ever issued by the federal government. Very, very cool note. Mine happens to be graded 15 net. One of the cool things about this note is the security measure here. You can see they've got 1, 2, 3, and the 2 is circled. On the $1 bill, the 1 is circled, and I'm always fascinated because there is a 3, and they did not make a $3 bill. So that's just cool. They hinted at making the $3 bill. Here's the proof. They never did. All right, but about this note, it is graded 15 net, and looking at this note, I cannot tell why. This note, to me, grades much, much, much higher than a 15. There is a hard crease right here. I'm trying to figure if that's a split that was maybe glued together, if that's the repair, or if the repair that they're referring to is the fact that this note has been cleaned and pressed. Either of those would be repairs. Either way, this note is much better than a 15. I don't know why it was given a 15 grade. Like I said, they give it 15 net, and they marked it repaired. When you are talking about eye appeal, this note is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful note. And you'll notice the serial number, 19890. If that 0 was a 1, yes, the very next note in the series would have been a radar. And I didn't notice that when I bought it. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And then when I started looking at it, it's like, oh, yeah, that's 1 away from a radar. How neat. If I would have got the very next note, that would have been a radar. I wasn't trying to upgrade this note, but I did run across one that was not graded. And I took a shot, and I wanted to see what I could do. And let me just hold this one and this one. You can see the difference in color immediately. This one is much, much brighter. This one has not been cleaned. If I look at the back of this one, I just want to show how nice this one is. That's looking at the back. I mean, yeah, is it perfect? No, but it's from 1862. I would assume that this is going to get at least a 20, maybe a 25. I mean, just an incredible quality note. And I was very impressed by the note itself. I was very impressed by the color on the note, but I was online with the note, so I didn't know how well it would grade. But putting it side by side to my note, clearly this note is better than the 15 that this note got. So this one is most certainly an upgrader for me. And when I upgrade this note, I am also going to send this in for grading. Pay attention for that video coming up. This will be graded, and to me, this is just incredible. Now, after I got this note, that's when I looked at the serial number, 88588. First and foremost, it's a radar. It reads the same forward and back, and it's a binary. So it's a binary radar on an 1862 $2 bill that's actually in pretty good shape. So yeah, I was hugely pleasantly surprised to score this at auction. This will most certainly upgrade this one. And for those of you who have seen this one in the past, like I said, this note is phenomenal for its grade. It should have graded higher, in my opinion. The net factor, like I said, I'm assuming the net is because it was cleaned and possibly glued here, but that doesn't change how beautiful this particular note is. Let's take a peek at the book and see what the book has to say about these. This one's FR41. I didn't check the FR number on the other one. FR41. It's just so cool having a note that is that low on the series. Okay, so here we go. Of course, we're doing paper money of the United States. And if we look, there's the note. and FR41, that is the top note. In a VG8, you're talking $475. In a 12, you're talking $775. In a 20, we're looking at $1,350. So that means that my 15, here we go, my 15 right here is somewhere between $775 and $1,350. That's what that particular note is. And the other one is better. So, yeah, I paid slightly more for this one than I did for this one, but the price I paid for this one was it was an amazing steal. So yes, I will gladly send this out for grading. And man, if this note comes out at a 20, we're talking $1,350. If it comes out at a 25, we're talking 25 or even 30. You're talking $2,000 on this note without a problem. So yes, I most certainly have to send this out for grading. And oh yeah, aside from the grade, it's a radar, a binary radar. So how much does that add to the note? It's fun to dream. I don't care because I'm not trying to sell this note. I will be trying to sell this one. In fact, this one will probably come up in my Christmas auction. So look forward to that. So yeah, put some money away because this is expensive, but you know me, I will sell it at a great price based on its condition and its value. But this is going to be a fun one to see when it comes back. I'll do a whole video showing what I sent off for grading and put my guesses in there. And hopefully I can time it right so that you only have to wait a week or two before you find out what the actual grades were. Anyway, that was my most recent upgrade. Wow, this one's special. If you learn anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.